Now it's time to get very interactive with you. So if you want to join us via the conversations that we are having on the show, you can do that by logging onto our social media handles at ChannelOne TVGH. You can also send us a WhatsApp message and let's get very interactive here. The WhatsApp number is on your screen, or just so I mentioned it's 020-444-7033. That's the WhatsApp number to send your messages to. If you are sending us a message via X as well, you can do that using the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Now, we are going to have a very disturbing conversation. Today is not a very pleasant one, as in recent years, incidences of violence and I don't know how to put it, violence and indiscipline has been frequently alarming in our senior high schools. And I sometimes wonder what could be the cause. Is it an issue of a failure of indisciplinary measures being put in place? Because these institutions, or our senior high schools, are supposed to be a place where we seek solace, or the students go for effective teaching and learning. But on the other hand, we see students bullying each other. Very sadly, we've seen issues on social media where students from schools are using machetes to bully each other, I mean, in terms of seniority. And in the past, or a couple of years back, when some of us were in high school, we didn't have these issues. We've seen issues of student clashes, meeting other people, throwing stones all over, meeting all sorts of indiscipline to the highest degree. And I ask myself, how do we curb these situations? What can we do? Because, Kweku, look, it's a very, very dire situation that we need to take a critical look at. Because looking at the video on the screens right now, this is a video from Accra Academy that went viral on social media, where a senior was, I don't know, for whatever reason, was hitting the junior colleagues with a machete, and this is very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. I mean, teachers to some extent were banned from using canes on students. So how dare you, a senior, use a machete on your junior colleague in this manner? Anything could have happened. That machete could have just slipped off your hand. Yes.
And then the sharp blade side,
I mean,
would
even if it didn't slip off in the attempt to hit him, you could just cut him.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Anything could happen.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. And this is so wrong. We've seen other videos, other horrifying videos of students. I mean, gross level of indiscipline.
No, it's a very unfortunate thing that where we find ourselves now, you know, because back in the day, if seniors were disciplining their juniors, you know, or the bullying that would happen would be things like, you know, doing squats, holding your ears, you know, or maybe carrying. There's one that I saw some years ago, carrying, you know, a brick or block, cement block on your head, above your head, you know, so your hands are exhausted and you will still be, you know, forced to carry it. But this kind of thing where this is actually assault.
Yes,
this is actually assault. So it's a criminal act that we've just witnessed, you know, and it continues to happen. When we see a lot of violence taking place, we see a lot of attacks. You see, and for me, the bullying is one issue, but then the issue of the student body as a group feeling like they need to vent their spleen by attacking another student group. You know, so you see attacks of ATTC attacking Kimbu students, ATTC involved in various, and ATTC in particular seems to appear time and again in different assaults. You know, in some of the videos that we came across online, ATTC seems to be involved in a lot of those things. This is a bunch of students chasing another student. You know, I think somebody was injured in this situation here.
Was this not the O'Reilly?
So they were rushing
story?
the student. Yes, this is the O'Reilly one that happened. Somebody had been harmed, and they were rushing the person to, you know. I think they were trying to rush them to the exit of the thing to try and get a cab to rush him to hospital. You know, it's a very
it's disturbing.
We you know. Okay, so what you're watching here is now the ATTC students. They were arrested by the police. at Circle, you know, and taken to the police station. This was when they were attacking the Kimbu students.
But Kweku, so I mean, there's a question on my mind that is really boggling me to ask. Is this an issue of a failure of our disciplinary systems? Because look, when I was in high school, some over a decade ago, when
it was when you.
I completed high school in 2012. So when you flout laws or rules in school, punishments are meted out to you, such as, there's a corporal punishment and there's the manual labor, like going to scrub the bathroom, scrubbing gutters.
Going to weed.
Yes, while your colleagues are in classrooms. So these are punishments that it's embarrassing. So it will deter you from actually doing wrong. And it will keep you on your toes. And there were the issues of the fact that there was a lot of respect to the elderly that you won't even dare disrespect. I mean, you are coming from home, but the moment you get out of your house, every elderly person you meet out there is your parent, and they have the right to correct you when you are wrong. So there was some level of discipline, and we were even afraid to even disrespect an elderly. But in recent times, we don't see such. So there's this level of gross disrespect, insubordination in the high school so much that they don't listen to anybody. Kweku, how can the education system bring discipline back to our institutions? Because these are the very people that are going to be our future leaders.
Well, it's a policy thing, you know. It's a policy and enforcement of policy. I mean, really, of course, we'll be talking to some education experts to try and get some perspective from them on this matter. But sharing my own opinion, I mean, I think that one of the things that helped in the past was the age gap between the first year students and the final year students. You see, now the gap has been reduced massively because by the time you arrive at SHS, you're already 14?
Or 13.
So 13, 14, you're in SHS. And the people who are at the tail end of the education ladder in your school are not even 18 yet. They are also 17, 16, 17. Do you see that?
Exactly.
So in reality, it's almost like, by you, if you know be parental decisions, we could be age mates. You know, so there's that equalization that has happened. When in the old system, you would go to school at 11. Sometimes 10, sometimes 12, right? But in that between 10 and 12, you'll be in Form 1. But the upper 6 people are 18, 19 years old. Do you see that thing? So
there's that level of seniority.
Seniority that was there, and the respect was established from the get-go. You walk into school, you know who are the prefects, you know who the seniors are, and there's that according of respect. And as you go through the ranks, you develop. You have the time and the opportunity to develop. Do you see? And then you yourself, as you learn to respect, the juniors that are coming after you will also learn to respect you. You see? But all of that is gone, you know, and now we need to figure out what we're going to do with our education system in terms of the policy and then enforcement of rules, you know, to make sure that this thing that we are seeing, it's a canker that we are seeing, which is, and it's growing. Prior to the stabbing of the O'Reilly students, prior to that, there had been another assault in Kumasi, an Islamic senior high school. They were running battles, you know, and it's all over. It's happening, and it's a growing impunity that we are seeing. Okay, so there's something that we need to, you know, do drastically. We have a report for you. Let's take a look at this report. When we come back, we'll delve into more conversations.
According to the Ashanti Regional Education Directorate, the incident occurred on Thursday, January 30th, when students from Kumasi Anglican Senior High School, CAS, and Kumasi Technical Institute, KTI, clashed at a common junction and began hurling stones at each other. The chaos led to the destruction of a vehicle belonging to an unknown individual who had reportedly driven to cars to lodge a complaint and parked there. 2 additional vehicles were damaged alongside other school properties, including a signpost, window blades, and sections of the school wall. Although calm has been restored, police personnel have been stationed at Kumasi Anglican Senior High School to prevent further disturbances. The PRO for the Ashanti Regional Education Directorate confirmed the incident to ChannelOne News.
We are under 2 agencies, Ghana Education Service and TVET Services, because KTI is under TVET Service. So the TVET Regional Director and his team were here together with the Regional Director of GES, and then the management of the 2 schools had a meeting today, and then we've agreed that we are going to sort out the differences among the students, because at the moment we don't know what triggered the stoning to each other. We don't know yet. So we are still investigating to find out what actually caused that. But what we know is that there was a crash. It's not that KTI went there to attack them. There was a crash between the 2 schools. That is what I know now.
He added that investigations are ongoing and students found culpable will face severe disciplinary action, which may include withdrawal from their respective schools.
Those students will be punished. If we are able to find them, those students will be punished. And at the moment, management have agreed that if any student is found in terms of such routes, we would deal with that student. And the main thing is withdrawal. It's about withdrawing such students, or maybe giving them a suspension.
All right, so that report there from the Ashanti region, bullying, violence, destruction of public property. This is happening in the Ashanti region. But it's not only an issue for the Ashanti region. We've had incidents in the north. We've had incidents, as you watched, in the Ashanti region. The incident also in Accra, which means is that it's a national problem. Somehow, every time these things happen, we set up a committee, we, deal with it, some kind of report is brought out. But for me, I don't see that deliberateness from the Ministry of Education to say that, look, we need to publicly, we have to make it difficult for students to say, I'm going to go and do this. Because you see, when somebody has a mind to do wrong, they know it's wrong, and they have a mind to do wrong, and they still insist on going to do wrong. Usually it's because they have no fear of repercussions. They don't believe that anything will come out of it that will negatively affect them and affect their future. So if we don't send a strong message in the strongest way possible to say that this thing that I want to do, yes, in my mind, I want to do this. But what about tomorrow? What will happen to me tomorrow if I go ahead and do this today? Do you see that thing?
I get it.
Yeah.
Kweku, I agree with you.
So it's a failure from our leaders.
Yes, I strongly agree with you. We need to strengthen the disciplinary rules and the kind of punishments meted out to students when they flout laws like this. Because, again, back in the day, you dare not. You won't even try it. Because just before the thing, you are even thinking about the repercussions.
Yeah, you have to think about repercussions.
Yes, what you are going to go through, facing disciplinary committee, the chance of you signing a bond of good behavior, I mean, the issues of going to be expelled, as well as deboardingization if you're in the boarding house, and all sorts of issues. These days, students take mobile phones to school and behave as though it's not even a problem. Yet, back in the day, you dare not have a mobile phone.
No, but the issue is, if it's illegal,
yes, it's illegal.
Okay.
Yes, it's still very illegal.
So then, as long as it's illegal, it's not. You may feel it's okay, but you're a criminal.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. It may be a misdemeanor, but it's still a crime. So, what is our for me? I hold our duty bearers responsible.
Exactly.
Do you see? I hold our duty bearers responsible because today, just go on TikTok or Snapchat. You see students posting videos in their uniform, for crying out loud. In their uniform. They are easy to trace. And yet, all of this goes, they didn't get somebody to film them on a professional camera. No, it's their phone.
Yeah.
So how did we get here? Well, Divine Pe has joined us on the line. He's an education specialist, and we'll hear from him. Divine, good morning.
Good morning, David.
Yes, welcome to Breakfast Daily. It's been a while.
It's been a while, and Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you too. Right, how did we get here? Divine.
Okay. All right, we are here because teachers actually who feel their power to discipline that has been taken out have actually withdrawn in terms of enforcing rules and regulation in our schools. What do I mean by their power being taken? You know, we have positive discipline toolkits that introduced in our pre-tertiary institutions when corporal punishment has been outlawed. So teachers are not to exact corporal punishment on any students. And this is something that teachers grew up with. They went through an educational system that corporal punishment has been the major way of ensuring discipline. And they have actually practiced that themselves for several years. And one day we wake up and we say, we have outlawed corporal punishment, and in its place, we are having positive discipline toolkit. So use this. And when we did that, we have not capacitated teachers as to how to go about the usage of these positive discipline measures. So this is something new to them. But even first of all, you have not even helped them in terms of behavioral change. You know, somebody knows that it's culturally, it's the cane and the kneeling down and all those things have been parts of our disciplinary measures right from home. And then when you are transitioning from that, you have not helped the person to transit from understanding that corporal punishment is not helpful in our school environment. You just say, I have outlawed it, and therefore you can't touch a child. If you touch a child, I'm going to sanction you. And yes, teachers have been sanctioned for just disciplining a child in a corporal way. You see, I believe if we were able to help our teachers to have transition to knowing that A and B is the reason why we cannot have corporal punishment in our school. Gradually, we would have gotten to a place where it would have been a custom, it would have become a culture for our teachers to understand how to discipline teachers without necessarily using the corporal punishment approach. But when the way we did it has not been helpful. Yes, it's been for a good reason that we want to outlaw corporal punishment in our schools. But when you have done it, so you've just picked it from an environment, a particular country context, and then you wake up one day and say, I have outlawed corporal punishment. Don't cane a child. Don't do this to a child. And then within some months, you are brought out a positive discipline and say, use this. You are not even enhance the capacity of teachers to use these particular measures that you have brought about. It becomes difficult for them to be accustomed to the usage of this positive means of disciplining students.
Yeah.
So teachers feel that, well, the power that we used to have to discipline students have been taken out from us, and we cannot continue to discipline people's or the students, because when we do, our employer mostly comes out with a threat to sanction.
Yeah.
I believe that there would have been a win-win way of dealing with this, such that teachers would one day come to appreciate the fact that, yes, corporal punishment has not created a healthy school environment, but it would have realized that would have gradually gotten to that stage where an environment would have been totally free out of that. But not to have done it in a way that we feel like we are exerting a particular way of exercising authority in our school without necessarily having their buy-in. Yeah. Once you have not have their buy-in, that's where. So you go to our secondary schools, teachers can see students fighting, but they say, no, let's leave them. Two students can be fighting. I say, let's leave them. There's nothing we can do. So the teachers actually watch on and they fight, and what the outcome is whatever we are seeing. And we have also not been, we have seen that it's not been helpful in a way where when some of these things come out, the GS, the way they handle it, as though we want to go in and attack teachers because they have done this. Yes, they may have erred, but there's always a way out of it. But when you have done it that in a way that when you touch a pupil, I'm going to take your job out from you. Yeah, it creates an environment where teachers feel, well, let me go and teach and have my salary. What happens to the child at the end of the day? This is not even my child. So let me leave the child to the parents. The government says I shouldn't touch their child. Let me leave the child and then do my teaching, take my salary at the end of the month, and then and that is what is happening. I think the only way out is for us to have an honest conversation to see how we are able to blend disciplinary issues in our school environment in a way that is acceptable to teachers as well, in a way that is welcoming for teachers, in a way that is also welcoming for parents. Right now, as I speak to you, we have still not come to a consensus on how we want to discipline our students in our schools, because even parents at times go to the school and ask teachers to discipline their wards in a corporal way. So it tells you that even the parents, they are still not in check with your corporal, with your positive discipline measures, or you even are employing corporal punishments in our school. Parents have not checked in that. So there's no consensus yet. Teachers have not checked in on that. So let us all have a conversation, and I'm glad that we are going to have a national education forum. I strongly believe that it should be part of the conversation that we have.
So Divine, let me just point you to something here. I'm looking at the National Library of Medicine. It's under the National Center for Biotechnology Information, and they say here, there's a quote, and it says, in all of Europe and most of South America and East Asia, corporal punishment has been banned in schools. However, there are 3 industrialized countries that are outliers, and they continue to allow corporal punishment. That's Australia, the Republic of South Korea, and the United States. They still allow corporal punishment. Now, the question I have is, should we just eat humble pie and just go back to corporal punishment?
All right. I think that in implementing policy, one of the analyses to have done is country-specific environment, the context-specific. How do you situate your policies, even if you have borrowed it from somewhere? How do you situate it in a context that is actually applicable in your situation? I, as somebody who have been through Ghana educational system and have seen how corporal punishment has done to some of my colleagues back in primary school. Some were irregular in school because they knew that when I'm late, I'm going to be caned or whatever. And some skipped school, and because of that, they were performing poorly in school, they had to drop out. I have been a witness to the fact of some corporal punishment affecting students in terms of dropout. And any other way, or a student being in a classroom and afraid that if I don't answer that question, well, the next thing I'm going to receive caning and stuff. And then also I have also witnessed how some teachers have gone extreme in using corporal punishment to the extent of incurring what legally we call battery, inflicting body pain and injury on students. Those extremes are there, all right? So, yes, I would say we'll have to deal with the issue of corporal punishment in our schools. But again, we will have to come to, it cannot be done as an overnight work. That is what I strongly believe. And look, you can't do it as an overnight work because something has been part of our system right from our childhood. Our parents are exerting the same way in our home. School system that we went through the same way. And when I'm a teacher, the same way that I be disciplining students. And then one day he said I should do it. It becomes so difficult. So while the only point is that we are able to marry the point of corporal punishment and then also gradually phasing it out of our school environment so that teachers will not feel that, well, we are powerless. Besides, we need to enhance the capacity of teachers on the positive discipline measures. And then also begin to strengthen the conversation of having school psychologists or guardians and counselors in our school, every school, with their job purposely for that. There are issues when it comes to corporal punishment or bullying. Some of them are behavioral issues that can best be solved by counselors or school psychologists. But we don't have this supporting system. You see, that is a problem. We say we should do positive discipline at school, but the measures that we need to put in place, we have not put them in place. The people that are enhancing positive discipline, they have measures such as having school psychologists in every school. And their job purposely is to be there to guide the students in terms of behavior and how they go about it, and how students even manage their anger. Some of the issues, the fighting and then the violence we see in schools are a result of inability of some students to manage their behavior or their anger. But school psychologists, their work purposely is to address some of these issues. They're able to profile students and identify students that are of higher risk of accepting corporal punishment in school or are able to become violent in school environments and are able to provide intervention measures. We do not have provision for that. But all we want to do is that we have seen that this is being done in some jurisdiction, and therefore let's us also do it. I fully support safe school environments. I fully support safe school environment, and I believe corporal punishment has to be done away with. But we must be measured in a way that we implement it. I feel that it has to be gradual, where teachers appreciate the fact that there's a reason why we need to phase out corporal punishment. And then when teachers feel capacitated to use the positive discipline, they are able to actually accept that. So high time we even take a second look at the regulation that bans corporal punishment in our school. It's been several years of implementation. We have to take a second look at it, review it, so that if there are provisions that has to be done in a way that become context specific, we are able to do that. I believe that to some extent would have been on a roadmap of addressing the high rates of indiscipline and bullying in our school environment.
Right, Divine. So speaking about the school psychologists and the guidance and counseling department, I remember between 2008 and 12, when I was in school, we had a department for that who would take you through orientation processes, guidance and counseling and all of that. What happened to that department? And I mean, looking at bringing it back, how do we do that to be able to navigate some of these issues? Because day in and day out, the issues are becoming alarming, and the schools are a place for effective teaching and learning. It's supposed to be a safe haven for the students to have a sound mind to learn. So if these issues are happening in my school, and waking up in the morning, if I have to go to school and I'm afraid or feeling unrest about going to school, I think this is very troubling. How do we bring that back?
Thank you, Fafa. Yeah, You know, you are right and somehow not right about the guidance and counseling department we have. It's because I said you are right because we seem to have it, and not right because it is not something that we have structured very well in our schools. Why? Somebody goes to College of Education and has done a semester of guidance and counseling, and the person is posted to teach in a school. And then we assume that that person should become a guidance and counseling coordinator in our schools. No, that's not a person's expertise. You can't use one semester of learning guidance and counseling in College of Education or the university and assume to be a guidance and counseling professional to assume that role in our school. But that is what we have practiced all over the years. If you go to the district education office, it is a teacher who has been in a service for some time appointed as a guidance and counseling coordinator, with a person having zero background in guidance and counseling coordination activities. And teachers with one semester of guidance and counseling in our colleges and universities become guidance and counseling coordinators in our school. And even with that, they are to teach. Their job is not even solely to provide guidance and counseling. They are supposed to teach. So their work burden of teaching alone has taken so much of them. You go to the second school, it is the same thing. Persons are posted as guidance and counseling coordinators, but they are given 2 or 3 subjects to teach. And can such a person provide guidance and counseling? So it is hard time we become so much aware that guidance and counseling issues in our school is something that is critical, but we dedicate policy to it, we dedicate budget to it, and we employ professional guidance and counseling coordinators. Teachers have want to do guidance and counseling in the universities, solely guidance and counseling, not other things. So let's begin to see how we recruit such teachers or persons that have gone to the university to do guidance and counseling and send them to our school for that purpose. Do not give them any other purpose to teach. Let it be their job to profile students and begin to identify students that are at risk of becoming bullies in the school. Let them begin to provide intervention or providing safe school environment. Let it just be their job that they do and take salary for. Don't keep burdening them with teaching of any subject. And I'm glad that we are having the process of developing a guidance and counseling policy. I pray it becomes a fruition as early as possible so that some of these things can be well addressed through the point of providing counseling intervention for our students.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Divine. We've been speaking with Divine, but he is an education specialist and giving us some very powerful insights into the way forward as far as this situation is concerned.
Kweku, I mean, he has said it all, pointed out the necessary issues in the education system. And again, as he rightly said, the committee set up for the education forum is going to be sitting soon. And I hope that they look at these things because, I mean, over the years, we've had the numbers increasing, and it's alarming. We can't continue to have our senior high schools polluted this much. These are the young ones that are going to be future leaders.
I mean, you're hoping that these people will become MPs in life
at this
later.
Very young age, teenage, you are having issues with the police. You are having violence of this level. It's very alarming. And again, I would also partly blame the use of social media in recent times because, Kweku, as you rightly said, if you go on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, all of these social media apps, there's a lot going on. The students are doing all sorts of things and they don't even have any shame. They record it, come and post it there. There's an issue of peer pressure, broken homes and many others. But I don't know how we'll be able to regulate social media in Ghana. In Ghana.
Well, I mean, again, it's a space that needs to be paid attention, needs to be paid to because
really need to.
You have the NCA this time around. It's got the component of digitization, it's got a component of innovation built into the portfolio of the minister for communications. You know, so there's a lot of work that is on their desk. In the next coming 4 years, that they will have to definitely get down to work real fast because look, you need to be able to regulate social media. Right. There are some countries, there are certain social media sites you can't access,
Yeah.
right? Because the country has taken a decision to regulate, you know. So we need to be able to do regulation and enforcement. It's very important. If we don't do that, what we'll do is it's like a free-for-all. Now, free-for-all is a very dangerous kind of thing, because in Ghana, you find that even in the same age bracket as some people are misbehaving, others are not on social media.
Yes.
Others are there and misbehaving. Others are there and becoming criminal masterminds. But there are others also in the same time period with the same access and everything else. They are not on social media. And if they are also being responsible on social media, because there are other guiding forces that are being are available to them, that are helping to guide and shape. So it's important for us not to just leave the space. At the governmental level and then at the school level, it's important for us not to leave the space and abandon it, and it's like, oh, one way and call, I leave them to do whatever they do. No, we can't do that. You see, because unfortunately, elements of what you see in the secondary school is what leads to elements of what we saw in Parliament.
Yeah.
That's it, as simple as that. You see, so you can't argue it any other way. You know, elements of what you see in secondary school, and again, it's a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
You know, the chicken can afford the egg or the egg can afford the chicken. You know, depending on where you stand for. Because again, the students are watching parliamentarians at each other's throats. And so to them, if the honorable can do it, I can also do it. It's a very simple thing. You know, so yes, at the top level, the highest levels of leadership of the country, we need to set a better example.
Yeah.
And then we need to also discipline these young ones. And let's not be afraid of disciplining these young ones. I think that take away corporal punishment from the teachers en masse, but allow the head teachers
To do what they
to
have.
implement corporal punishment.
Well, there's an
Because
issue
in that way, it's easy to say, if a student is injured as a result, this is the person that's responsible.
Right.
Do you understand?
Right.
And then disciplinary measures can also be implemented at that level. Because we say discipline the students, we didn't say go and injure the student.
Of course.
Do you get what I'm saying? But the problem with the wholesale on mass corporal punishment is that every teacher, look at the thousands of teachers we have, every teacher has access to a cane.
Yeah.
And then you can beat any student anyhow. It's difficult to control. But if it's just the head teachers who can cane, and even that one, they have to justify the caning.
Kweku, I agree with you, but then again, I don't know how that's going to work, because looking at the pressure on the head teacher's table day in and day out regarding the running of the school and other administrative processes or issues that the head teacher has on their table, I think we need to regulate it in such a way that some teachers, or there should be a couple of people responsible for discipline, so that in the absence of the head teacher, they can take control.
The discipline master is available.
Exactly.
So there's a discipline master.
I mean, I remember vividly when I was in school, we named a teacher called insubordination.
Okay.
Just because the least chance, he'll come and discipline you.
Okay.
And it was so much that no teacher was even interested in handling issues of discipline. It just went naturally. So we need to really look at it and then bring back, stringent disciplinary measures into our schools, because our children are going wayward.
Yeah. We'll be joined on the line by Dr. Peter Atefa. He is with the Africa Education Watch, and he's going to give us his perspective on this. Dr. Atefa, you're welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, so
and I want to use this opportunity to say good morning to our revered listeners and to the office staff of Africa Education Watch.
Wonderful, wonderful. So the question I have is, looking at the increasing number of incidents of bullying as well as student indiscipline across the country, how did we come here? How did we get here as far as Africa Education Watch is concerned? And what do you see in the future if we don't, get a grip on this as quickly as possible?
Yeah, thank you very much. indiscipline in schools is an age-old issue. Days back when we also entered the senior high school, those that we call it secondary school, there was indiscipline.
Okay.
Bullying. We have terms like homoing. You come across a senior, somebody in Form 2, you are in Form 1. The way he would drill you, it feels good that he had been in school first or earlier before you came. And therefore, he has every right to do whatever he wants to you.
Yeah.
Or that will make him feel good. And they go about talking about it, and they feel good and high.
Yeah.
That, yes, I have disciplined the first year students.
Yeah.
So this has been with us. But like, as we keep on changing the curriculum of our schools, so also indiscipline had been. I'm not saying that it is the curriculum that is bringing about indiscipline. But at any point in time, when we look back into our system of education and we realize that there is a need to make changes, we do so. And I've always been saying that it started from the time that the white man or the Europeans came to trade with us, where at that time, all that they needed in the curriculum was the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, so that we could help them do their trade. We could serve as intermediaries. We could do some small accounting for them so that they could do their trade and go back. Changes came on there, and then to what we have today. But that is not the cause of indiscipline in our schools.
Okay.
I'm only trying to liken it to the growth and development of education in Africa, or in Ghana, to be specific. Yes, indiscipline had been there, but there are rules and regulations. Every school has its own student handout where these indiscipline issues have been spelled out with the corresponding punishment associated with it. But the fact remains that, do we enforce it? But one thing, we do not have a policy, that a national policy, even if it is there, maybe it is hidden under some desk somewhere. It has not been made available to the directorates, I'm talking of the education directorates, and the schools, so that it will be written boldly on the walls or even in the books of the students, so that they could know that if you commit this offense, this is the corresponding punishment, so that it will serve as deterrent to them. But one thing I've observed that in most of the schools are doing, I'm talking about the senior high schools, is that they have these sirens. Anytime it bells, sometimes you hear them, it reads, or it will say, if you commit this offense, this is the corresponding punishment. Some of them have that. So it keep on ringing in the ears of the students, which will serve as a reminder for them to know that some of these offenses are not allowed in our schools or in the specific schools that the student find himself or herself. And therefore, it is good. Now it's about time, because the speed at which students are misbehaving, showing signs of indiscipline, to the extent that most of them are criminal. And the recent one that happened at Accra Academy, as we all know, it is only God that has saved the situation. Assuming that the attempt of lashing the student with the flat part of the cutlass end, you could have injured the student seriously. I saw something yesterday also, where a student was kneeling on a table, a chair or a table, and they were slapping him that he had stolen.
Wow.
And they have written something on a board, and they have placed it on his chest that I am a thief. I mean, if the student has stolen, you are not the person to discipline such a student.
Yeah.
There are authorities. Every institution has a head who is the CEO, and management, the management staff, that is those who support the headmaster or the head teacher to manage the students and to manage all other staff in the school. And therefore, when such things occur, it is the head or the CEO who is always called to answer or to respond why such incidents occurred and why he could not, as a single person, control, though he has others, the staff, to do most of the work on his behalf. So these issues are going on, and it is about time that stakeholders sat down to take a close look at it and made some kind of policies to bind students or to help students live according to the way we want them to live.
Yeah.
Why are students sent to school? We send students to school so that they could learn, they could be trained to become acceptable members of the society. They could live amongst others in any community or wherever they find themselves. Again, we send them to school so that they could enter into the world of work. When you complete school, you should have something doing so that you can make a living.
Yeah.
Your economic life will be okay for you.
Yeah.
When you get married, you can take care of your family.
Yeah.
And others or your dependents.
All right.
Again, we send students or children to school so that they could study and continue. They go for further studies. Let's say to the senior high school or to the tertiary level. These are the three main areas of objectives for which we send children to school or to the senior high schools. And so we do not expect them to make themselves, to do what we are seeing today. It is bad, and we must all raise eyebrow against it. Some time ago, not quite long, a student pulled knife or whatever and kills a student. Why? It is very bad, and we must all speak against this.
All right. Thank you so much.
Dr. Atefa, before we let you go, looking ahead in the long term, do you have some suggestions on how we can curb these situations?
Yes.
Right. Share with us, please.
It's multifaceted. And we need to come together as stakeholders. All stakeholders have a role to play in curbing this menace in our schools. We must, first of all, establish the rules and regulations that will bind or guard these students whilst they are in school. See, whether they are day students or they are boarders, there are rules. There should be rules. I know the rules are there, which in most of the schools, they have written them in their handouts, students' handouts. But I don't think they enforce it.
Yes.
And even if they are enforcing it, you see people who are of higher positions or higher class coming in to influence management of the decisions that they will be taking against the students.
Yeah.
You see, so we should also help the students by promoting positive behaviors. What do I mean by positive behaviors? You see, some time ago, we used to have drama in our schools. We could dramatize a situation where a student is bullying another student, and then other people will come in and then save the situation and educate the one bullying the other to have a change of mindset. If we keep on doing this, during some of their Saturdays, that could also speak free from this. Women-teacher relationship, strong teacher relationship. You see, some teachers and their students are far removed. They are distant apart. Some teachers when they see their students, failing or they are not doing well, they feel happy because they think that students must contribute monies and give to them. You see, these things are not good.
Yeah.
If you have been trained as a teacher, you have gone through a process of training, and in the end, you have been certified as a trained teacher. As a teacher, you don't have to go to this extent.
All right.
You see, so teachers must build a very close relationship with their students. If students feel that their attention is not, teachers are not giving them the attention, they will do certain things which will tantamount to indiscipline.
Yeah.
And then we should also engage parents and guardians in the discussion of their children's or their worst behaviors. During PTA, I know PTA, they talk about some of these issues. That must be enforced. That we have to do more in telling parents about the true behaviors of their work. Every student has two characters. The character outside and the character inside. When they come home, they are like angels. But when they are outside there, they do what you would not even think of. Sometimes they come to tell parents that your ward, I saw your ward doing this A, B, C, D. They will challenge and say, my ward, I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want to defend. But these are some of the issues. And we must provide counseling services, counseling support for students. For true, students need counseling. But how many counselors, and when I say counselor, I mean professional counselors.
Yes.
Who are teachers. When you go to the University of Education or the University of Cape Coast, we have courses. If you study any course at the University of Education, for instance, you do a course in guidance and counseling.
Okay.
But that is not enough.
Okay.
And it is only those who go through a major program in guidance and counseling that are well equipped, to be able to counsel students or pupils effectively. And therefore, I will advocate that while teachers are in the field teaching, we should organize in-service training, an intensive, maybe a 3-month program, or which will be in models for them to be able to know how to counsel students effectively. We have individual counseling, we have group counseling, and what to say as a teacher when you are doing counseling.
Yeah.
And every school must have a counseling room. And, we lack rooms, classrooms. How far? The government must commit to putting up simple structures in schools which will serve as counseling offices, so that students could go there, even teachers could go there for the counselor, the trained professional counselor, to help them out.
Wonderful.
I remember some time ago, some of my students in the north, a teacher took them to his farm, and they got drowned in River Oti, and about 9 of them passed on. I'm sure you are aware of all these stories I'm talking about. That time I was the regional director. I had to go to the scene, see the regional minister, and the police brought their counselors, professional psychologists, to come and to counsel the parents and all the affected people. So we need counseling in our schools.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you.
All right, so we've been speaking to Dr. Peter Atefua. He's a senior education advisor at the Africa Education Watch, and we'll be having conversations about indiscipline and violence in our senior high schools in recent times. Kweku, this has been a very elaborate conversation. I mean, listening to Dr. Atefua as well as Divine giving their perspectives and their ideas about this, I think the Ministry of Education has a lot of work to do, as well as the newly appointed Minister of Education.
Of course, there's going to be a national forum on education as well. So hopefully,
so some of these issues come up, and then they are carefully looked at and thought through on some of the disciplinary measures that need to be reinstated in our schools, and how to strictly monitor that law enforcement is, I mean, working as ever before in our institutions, because we can't continue having our our students, our young ones, these are people, teenagers really, because most of them complete school even before they turn 18. So they are very, very young, and we can't afford them cultivating some of these habits even before they are done into from senior high school to migrate into higher institutions like the tertiary and the likes, because it won't be a good thing at all.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's take a look at what happened at Accra as well, and then when we come back, we have lots of messages that you sent through. We'll be reading them. If you have any thoughts, any comments regarding the conversations we're having, please do share. The WhatsApp line is 0204 447 033. Let's take a look at what happened at Accra.
Shocking video that emerged online this week shows a Form 3 student at Accra Academy Senior High School taking turns to flog two classmates with a cutlass. The footage has sparked widespread outrage among parents, guardians, and the general public. Initial investigations revealed that the machete used in the assault was brought from the perpetrator's home and not from the school premises. In an official statement, Accra Academy's management clarified that the incident took place on January 17, 2025, 2 weeks before the video surfaced online. However, the school only became aware of it after the footage gained traction on social media. The statement further confirmed that both the perpetrator and victims have been identified. The main offender has been handed over to the police for further questioning, while the other students involved, all of whom are day students, have been suspended pending the outcome of investigations. An excerpt of the statement reads, "We acknowledge the concerns raised following the circulation of a video depicting a student from our school flogging a colleague with a cutlass. We understand the alarm this has caused among parents and guardians and assure all stakeholders that we take this matter seriously. Upon discovering the video, we immediately initiated an investigation to address the situation. The case is currently under review by the Ghana Police Service and the School's Disciplinary Committee, and we will keep all stakeholders informed of the final outcome."
Following this particular issue, ChannelOne News visited the Accra Academy School to have engagement with management on the way forward. Upon arrival, ChannelOne News gathered that there was a PTA meeting ongoing where the matter was part of the agenda as well as other developmental agendas for the school. And afterwards, management, speaking of the record to ChannelOne News, listed the line of activities to bring finality to this particular matter. Speaking of the record, management have indicated that the Ghana Police Service is expected to conclude their investigations and submit the report to management by February 3, 2025, after which the report will be submitted to the management level of the school for deliberations, and after the deliberations at the management level, then the final detail of the report will be given or meted out to the general public. So that is with the management level. Well, in interactions with some parents who also spoke of the record, indicated and raised concerns of how some of these issues might bring reputational damage to the school, hence the need for the necessary punishment to be meted out to the corporates.
Meanwhile, the Executive Director of Education think tank EduWatch, Kofi Asari, has also condemned the incident in a Facebook post. He wrote, "I condemn the violence at Accra Academy Senior High School. I am pleased that school authorities have involved the police to handle this criminal act."
More indications. Management have expressed their commitment to bring finality to this particular matter, and they have also expressed commitment that once the report is out, it will definitely be shared with the public, as well as the necessary actions will also be taken. And you can trust that ChannelOne News will continue to follow up with this story until finality is brought to the matter.
All right, so that's the report there filed by Samuel Akom on the Accra a bullying incident, and the fact that the authorities have involved the police and the issue is being handled. And we'll hear from them once the investigations are done. And I hope that the investigation will be done quickly rather than later. All right. Now, the only thing challenge I have with the statement they gave was almost as though to sound mount some kind of a defense to the school, that the cutlass did not come from the school. But is it not that in the prospectus of every student, cutlass are supposed to be brought from home by students? So what is the meaning of the cutlass came from home and not from the school? Unless I'm missing something here, I don't understand.
And again, it's not as though it is illegal to bring a cutlass.
Yes,
even if you're a day student.
So
yes, it's not illegal to bring a cutlass from home because maybe you've been apportioned a section of the school to weed, and when you go asking the boarders or the school authorities, they tell you that they don't have cutlass. Bring your own cutlass from home. I have experienced this before. When I was,
really? They told you to bring what?
Well, they told the day students to bring their cutlass and their hose from home to join groundwork. So when they were coming in the morning, most of them carried their cutlasses and their hose to the school. So it's acceptable.
Literally, you are holding a cutlass in hand.
Yes, you walk through the
because there's no school bag that a cutlass will fit inside.
Not at all.
So you're actually holding a cutlass in hand and walking to school like a farmer.
Exactly.
Wow.
So how are they saying that it is not from the school? I think if the person brought it from home, you saw them walking to the school premises with it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we have a lot of messages. And you want to read some?
Right, sure. So this one says, the example of what is going on in schools, such as students using machete to cane a fellow student, choking incident in Adisadel College, and all other incidents of violence shows that we should bring back the cane in schools. Remember, spare the rod and spoil the child. Another one says, the bullying or violence in SHSs is as a result of lack of indiscipline from management, students, and government. This one says that bullying violence at senior high schools is as a result of lack of indiscipline from management, students, government, society, and parents. It is not just one-sided. Another one says, good morning. All of this is a result of poor policies in the educational sector. In the past, students who exhibited such behavior would have been made to repeat a grade until they either improve or voluntarily left the school before taking their basic certificate education examination. Now, consider a policy that prevents students from being repeated, and yet, as parents, you celebrate it. This raises serious concerns about the long-term impact of academic standards and discipline. And this from Abdul Basit from Tamale.
Philip Inadenta says, back in the days, there was the cane, so we grew up very disciplined. We have let our guards down, and so that's what we will get. Okay, another one says, I strongly suggest that we deploy the telco's SIM provision system applied in the tertiary level in a form of assessment of our awards by tracking students through their search history and also tracking their interests with the data collected. Okay. Ben Mahmoud, a retired teacher in Domipila 2, says, guidance and counseling is about aiding the child to realize their potential while in school. It's not about instilling discipline, which must involve all teachers. In some schools, it involves the administrative staff. Accra Academy is and must be seen to be like, okay, I'm not sure what word you wanted to use here. Something to the elite schools like Achimota, Presec, Legon, and Wesley Girls. I admire, to be seen to be like other elite schools. Okay, Achimota, Presec, Legon, and Wesley Girls. I admire Achimota School for their discipline, despite the vastness of the school compound and its high enrollment without fences. If teachers are banned from meting out corporal punishment for its crudeness, how can a group of students have the audacity to punish a fellow student at a time when the age difference between SHS 1 and SHS 3 is much narrower than the sixth form seniority of old when we were teaching? Accra must up their discipline. Okay. Another one here says, good morning to you. I'd be very grateful if the GES would bring back the cane and the punishment as well. When we were in school, those days, we never heard anything like this. But I also blame some of the parents who go to the school to fight teachers because teachers have disciplined their children. I agree. That's completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we have to come to a place where if a parent comes to object or fight, not even objection is fine, but to actually, and because some teachers get assaulted by parents, right? If a teacher gets assaulted by a parent, that the student of that parent is out of that school forever. It's as simple as expulsion straight of your student from the school. You will go and find another school, and the next time you go and do that kind of behavior. I think that we are not drastic enough with our measures. So it allows people to feel that they can also test it. They can also test the system. After all, the last time it didn't happen to this person. Nothing happened to this person. You see,
yes. You know, when Divine was speaking, he mentioned that in times past, he's witnessed issues of teachers discipline students so much that they inflict wounds and injuries on them. So if it is a case of such, I think the parents is
no, then it's a police case.
Yes, right.
So
to
it's
get
not
angry,
you don't
but
go
to
and beat
come
up the
onto
teacher.
into the school premise, come and assault the teacher to just to also have your pound of flesh because they inflicted certain level of injury on your ward.
You report it as a police case. That's what it is. You just report it as a police case. You know, but when you come and assault, I still say every school should reserve the right and should use it to expel students of parents who come and assault teachers. You see, that way you do it once, twice, 3 times. No teacher, no parent will try it again because you know that your child's education is at risk. If you go and assault a teacher, go and report to the police. Let the teacher be dealt with properly.
Or come asking questions so that you're explained to. If it doesn't sit well with you, then you can further take it on. Right.
You know?
We still have some more messages. This one comes in from Reverend Dr. Raymond Iwa JC. He says, inter-school rivalry has been a long-standing tradition. However, over time, the reasons behind these rivalries have become distorted, leaving students unaware of their origins. This unchecked continuation has intensified conflicts, resulting in increased clashes and casualties. The escalation is not due to teachers lacking the ability to discipline through corporal punishment, but rather the unchecked perpetuation of these rivalries.
So I was curious, you know, Dr. Raymond, if it's not the teachers lacking the ability to discipline, but rather the unchecked perpetuation of these rivalries. The rivalries, as you yourself said, have been in existence for time immemorial. So, and unchecked as in how would you prefer that they were checked so that they don't escalate? It would be good to hear from you further on this one for clarification.
Right. There's another one from Mr. Pure Water from Amasaman. He says, what's going on in our secondary schools is so unlawful. I suggest there should be military personnel in every secondary school to ensure discipline, because the teachers and the heads are finding difficult to control the students. I don't think that's the purpose of our military anyway. This one says, good morning. I'm a teacher in one of the most popular senior high schools in the Ashanti region. After getting to the school, I observed these, and the person has itemized it. 1, students nowadays don't take their studies very seriously. You talk and talk, but you see these students will be doing their own thing in class. 2, some of the ladies are lesbians, of which they practice in school. A certain lady requested for my phone to call her parents, and upon their arrival, I noticed some videos of 2 ladies on my phone kissing themselves. They deleted it after the act, but it was still in my recycle bin. 3, 2 opposite sex students were having sex in a car where teachers were also seated in after our Milo games at Babayara Sports Stadium. 4, the WASI they write ain't written by themselves, but some irresponsible teachers take money from these kids and do everything for them. 5, no respect in our SHSs anymore. They have what we call hookup gang, where they link themselves to the big men in society. Massive implementation should be put in place because the senior high school of yesterday is not the same today. That's some wild allegations there, you know.
Yeah, I mean, some of which I've heard before. You know, it's
Wow.
not. It doesn't come as a surprise to me. But yeah, listen, there's a lot of work to do. This National Education Forum, I hope some of these things are going to be part of the conversations that we're talking about here. You know, I think general disciplinary issues in school should be looked at by the forum.
Yeah.
You know, as they sit and discuss, general discipline issues need to be discussed. It's an urgent matter, right? And I think that we tend to do this kind of thing where we say to ourselves, well, we were there, we have come to real life, we are okay. The people who came after us, they've also come into real life, they are okay. So don't worry about it, they will all be okay. No, one day there'll be a bloodbath in a secondary school. You watch what I'm saying. If we don't deal with this, one day there'll be a bloodbath, and we need to be careful because that's where it's going. Students are not afraid to assault another student with a deadly weapon.
Quick, look at the case
That's what
of the
we're talking about.
orally issue. The student lost his life.
Yes.
He lost his life.
No,
sadly.
and I don't even think he's the first person for that to have happened. You see, a deadly weapon assaulting your fellow student with a deadly, they're not afraid of it anymore. You know, people are not afraid to take stones and hurl them at their, what's your intention? That a stone will hit the person and what will happen? Do you understand what I'm saying? What's your intention as you're throwing that brick at your fellow student? What's your intention? Do you get it? So I'm just saying that it's something we need to look at and look at it seriously. That this is not, we shouldn't treat it with kid gloves.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, I think we can settle it here for today.
Yeah.
Enough said. Duty bearers, over to you. Teachers, Ghana Education Service, Ministry of Education, over to you. And the Ghana Police Service, let's see you acting. All right. That's it for this segment. We're going